Unfortunately, this afternoon we saw a damning indictment into what has been a pretty poor start to life under Julian Lopetegui for West Ham. An okay, satisfactory first half performance was then partnered with a devastatingly embarrassing second half display, which saw Spurs run riot and take a 4-1 victory away in our derby. Larry, how are you?
I could be better. Every time West Ham has a performance like that, my weekend's usually shot. So it's terrible. It's an early game, so I'm bad Saturday and Sunday. But just a confused match, disappointed match. We can get into the particulars, and I'll speak with your dad. He was just there. Yeah, I thought first half we played okay, and we challenged with them. But again, I said this in the other ones that Tottenham's no mugs. They got a quality squad there, but we need to show up, and I just didn't think we showed up today for the performance.
We didn't, unfortunately. Fahad, hope you will get him out of the club. Surely no one can think this is an improvement on Moyes playing like this, and with a clueless and tacticless manager, we will go down. Now, we'll come back to the overarching long-term impact a little bit later on, but let's just focus, first of all, on what we saw today. I came into it with a little bit of apprehension, Larry, and to be totally honest. I was a little bit, when I saw the lineup and building up, I was a little bit concerned. We took the lead and we were okay in the first half, but there was, alarm bells there. They were very good, Tottenham. They had 15 corners in the first half. They didn't do anything with them, but they had 15 corners in the first half. They were building pressure. It was mounting up, and look, we were level at half time, which, was it fair? I think we were relatively lucky to be level, to be totally honest, but we were still in the game. And then it all fell apart. So let's deal with the first half and the positives first, because that won't take long. Kudus in the first half. We'll talk about him in the first. We'll talk about him in the second half later. But firstly, Kudus goal. And overall, that first half performance was, I'm going to say, acceptable, Larry.
100%. And it's funny because I think the first 10 minutes we were kind of playing both, feeling each other out and stuff like that. And I said earlier that between the 10th minute and the 19th, when we scored that goal, we looked really good. We were doing one-touch passes. I was about to say, this is the chemistry. I got so excited. It was great. And then, that Bowen went down there, passed it into Kudus. Kudus right at the goalie, wish he would hit the corner, but missed that one. Then second, he came back and he scored. And then after the 19th minute, we did sit back more than we were doing prior to that. And after that, that allowed Tottenham to pretty much, and we did a great job holding them just to the one goal. But they attacked us. They were shooting. Total shots today was 22. They had tons of them. Shots on goal was 7, but they were all over the place. And you hit it right there, Jake, that there's many chances, that they could have scored more. Johnson had a couple opportunities that he missed it. Son in the second half hit the post. All this stuff. But then when we sat back like that, the one goal was led. And we need to realize this. Paqueta does not have his head in the game. He does not. He turned that over. That people are saying Suchek did. No, if you watch that, they countered on that first goal. It was Paqueta didn't know what to do with it, tried to get it to Suchek, and then they countered, and then they got the goal. And then, it was just like that. And people want to blame the midfield and all that, and were we sitting in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. Paqueta was giving up some bad plays there. And it was just unacceptable. But then it got worse as we go into the second half. But we were fortunate. But out of everything, and just like your dad, Richard, said, is that the first half, and you said it's acceptable. We were playing half well against, I think, a very quality team. And I'm not going to make excuses about us because we have some issues. But that's a quality team on the other half. We said that on your pregame before, is that, hey, we didn't, they blew that game against Brighton. But if you look prior to that, even in the Europa League, these guys are winning. They lost their first 2 matches very closely, but they're playing. So, again, I'm not trying to say, this is why we lost, because we know it could have been higher than that because we had flaws that we could have played better, but they just were a better club today.
Let's take some comments. Mandy says, hi, Jake. We have a solid defence, a very good offensive, very good offensively, but we are getting found out on a slow midfield with a showboater, no real striker, and a goalie that can't pick the ball. Let's sort of unpick that because I agree with the most part. Defensively, it's a little bit weird, Larry, isn't it? Because they all, when you look at them individually, you'd all say they've been okay, and you wouldn't pinpoint one defender who's an absolute nightmare. But then again, collectively together, we're leaking goals for fun. 4 today, 3 against Chelsea, goals here, there, and everywhere. We're leaking goals, unfortunately. 5 against Liverpool in the Cup. I know that was a bit of an anomaly in that sense about what happened in the game, but we still conceded 5. So defensively, Larry, we're okay as a unit, like in terms of individually looking at the players, if that makes sense, but we are leaking goals.
Yeah, and I think what's happened here is, and this is the problem that we saw, even on that goal with Son, his final third goal out of those 8 minutes of debacle, was that Emerson's up the pitch, Wan-Bissaka's up the pitch, and Todibo did his best on that, but he just couldn't handle Son. Son freaked him out, and then he scored under Ariel's legs and stuff like that. So you're right. I mean, it's hard to say because, I still think Todibo had a good game. I think Kilman. It's just what we have a hard time with. If you play against a squad that's got such an attacking and very good forwards and strikers and stuff like that, if you make that mistake and your guys aren't back, you're going to get it. And that's what happened with several of our goals that they scored on the counter. And when you have guys like that, when you got Son, when you got Solanke, when you got, Johnson, you have this, that's a formidable team right there. Even their corners, their cornerbacks were getting a couple shots outside today. So it's just a quality team, and we don't have that. Our guy, when we play that type of defense, we make ourselves, or offense, it makes us very vulnerable to that attack, and it was glaring today.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think I agree with the premise of what Mandy says in terms of the midfield is where the issues are coming from. And it was noted on commentary today, and we can all see it, watching it week in, week out. The gaping holes that we leave, we just can't. It's just asking for trouble. And when you unpick the midfield, it is trouble, right? Paqueta, his head is not here, right? I don't know where it is, but his head is seriously not here. And he's been awful this season and through the second half of last season, if we're being totally honest about it. Then you go to Souček, who will pop up once a month and score a goal, and everybody will go on the defence about him and say how good he is. He's not a ball-playing, impactful midfielder. You've then got to look at Rodriguez, who I think there's big question marks over him. If I'm totally honest, I don't know whether he has got the quality that we need for that position. So that makes up our midfield that has been settled for 3 or 4 games now, and it's trouble. And it's the sort of main overarching reason for why we're failing is because that midfield, it's faltering, Larry.
100%, but and people can give me stick all they want in there, but I thought Rodriguez, especially in the first half, was stopping a lot of attacks that were coming our way. And we have, in my opinion, it starts with Areola. Our goal, his distribution of the ball when he has it is horrendous. Every time he kicks it up the pitch, it goes to someone else. And then one that did lead to another goal there, he's terrible. And then Rodriguez, at least sometimes, and it's pretty sad state when we say we're happy. Oh, look at that long pass from one of our midfielders that got it. It's like it's something new because West Ham is not used to having a midfielder actually hit the ball off the pitch to an actual player. We're used to just throwing it up and it goes away. So it's something. But I thought Rodriguez during there held his own. And everybody said Alvarez came in and stuff like that. But 100% with you, Jake. Our midfield needs to be addressed. I think that's really the crux of what's going to happen, what's happened with us, because they're not even hardly coming back. If that breakaway, say, like if the fullbacks are going up there, where are they at coming to help out too? It's a big issue.
It is. Ronnie, hope you are well. What a day with Cherries doing Arsenal as well. I did enjoy that part of the day, not a lot else. Usual suspect, hope you well. They were the better team with the better players. Unfortunately, we haven't got a better manager, and that ain't saying a lot, sadly. Yeah,
true.
Areola again, question marks raised over him. We'll talk about him. Hey, see, Larry, you've got company.
That's my lovely wife. So.
Embarrassing you live on television. So you tell her that you'll be on the telly, right?
I was going to be on a nice patio because it's nice out today, but she said, no, you got to go inside. So.
Oh, right. You get told what to do, Larry. Oh, I see how it is. Blimey.
Long relationships, you got to give and take. That's how it is.
I see. Right. So you like pretty much Nigel, Gary, and Mike do. You do as you're told, don't you?
Pretty much.
The midfield can't leave huge holes. It can't, and it does, and that's what's that's what's misfunctioning currently. Usual suspect, left a little bit around the bush this evening. Gosh, we are missing a proper centre forward. We are, and it's a shame about Fulkrug, and hopefully he's back next week. But I wouldn't hold my breath about it. Centre forward is going to help Larry, but it's not going to cause, it's not going to fix the cause of our problems, is it? Fundamentally,
no. And then we can't. Again, Fulkrug, we haven't really seen enough of him yet. So again, I said this a couple weeks ago. Don't think he's coming in and we know he's a proven Haaland or something like that. Now we want to see that, but we got to see what he has first. You know what I mean? And then Antonio today, it was his second. He didn't really out of energy or whatever, but he wasn't explosive everywhere. You saw that. You saw it by not seeing him. Really, that's kind of what it was. And then, like I said, Kudus, I really believe, and we've had discussions about that. If we're going to be playing a 4-2-3-1, why don't we put Kudus in the middle there, like at the 10 or something like that? Because you see that he's got the skill sets. He winds up moving himself over to the right anyway, where he's more comfortable at, as you see there, and that. But it's not good. I think our biggest area is I think midfield's really where we're struggling at. That's hurting us right now. But yeah.
It's the main cause, in my opinion, and that's the thing that needs to be addressed the most pertinently and obviously and quickly at this current stage. 100%. Antonio was out of running after 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, they had him and sort of Van der Ven had a bit of a tussle at some points, but he never really got into the game, as did anybody. I'm totally honest.
And know what? I'm sorry. And that's the key point. We're going to really, everybody, as we know, is killing Lopetegui right now. But the thing is, if you see that early, and even if it's a 30-minute, one thing we did like about him, he'll make them changes quickly, right? And today, if you saw that, which we all did, and Richard, you were at the match, and there's many people at the match that saw that pull him off then. He did that with Rodriguez. He's had a couple times where before even half, he'll pull people off. Don't wait until it's too late. You know what I mean? We were like hanging on, and then again, I think Kulusevski, whatever his name is, I always screw it up, but 36th minute, he scored the goal. After that, and you were not seeing the magic, bring it back. But yeah, today his decision making and how long it took the subs to come on between that. Granted, when you saw the subs ready to come on, the 3 during that 8-minute debacle, they weren't ready yet. You saw Somerville putting his kid on. He hadn't even stretched out or nothing like that. He's just sitting there. I'm like, God, he's going to come out that quick. He didn't even have his, that yellow thing that the warm. He didn't even have that. Yeah. So decision making by him today, and then it was very. And I've been trying to not judge him too much, but I said I was starting to. It was poor.
Yeah. Mandy says all our attacks go through Bowen and Kudus. We have no central
100%, Mandy. Bingo.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lack of pace and mobility in the midfield. There's a lack of anything in the midfield, to be totally honest. Yeah. It's toothless. It's not creative enough. It doesn't do the basics right. Let's not even think about creativity first. Let's think about the defensive basics that a midfield should do. And we don't battle in the midfield. We fold, to be quite honest. And when a bit of pressure is applied, if one player's caught out of position, we're done. We're screwed, right? That's it. Start the car. Unfortunately, it's really, really concerning. Put Kudus up top. He can hold off a player. Yeah, I'd play him even like centrally up front or centrally a little bit further back. But we won't be playing him anywhere for a while. Now we'll come on to the red card in just a second. I won't be surprised if they get us upscaled because of the magnitude of the violent conduct of a 5 or 6 game ban. To be totally honest, he lost his head, and we'll come on to the implications, the reasons, and our thoughts on that in just a second. Ronnie says Kudus heads went not good for you, 3 game ban. Let's talk about it now. To be honest, I'm gonna be totally honest, Larry. I don't think I've ever done this before, right? When the fourth goal went in, we were going out after the game. When the 4th goal went in, I turned the telly off and said, "Come on, let's go." I was that angry. I was like, "I can't watch this anymore." And then I sort of reluctantly in the car flicked it back on my phone to see what was going on. And I watched it, and do you know what? It's probably really bad, but I chuckled when I saw it. To be totally honest, I chuckled. But if we're being serious about it, he lost his head, right? The one thing I will say, it's nice that he showed a bit of care and passion because nobody else did, to be totally honest. He went
That's
about
true.
it. He went about it in a more severe way than we'd have probably liked. He probably could have got like 3 red cards in that 2-minute episode for the kick on Van der Ven and then for the 2 like face shoves to the floor. It wasn't ideal, Larry, was it?
No, you hit it on the head. I mean, how many penalties can be in one? 1 kick, 2 kick to Van der Ven on the ground, gets up, push him. With Charleston, he just acted, so we don't care about that.
Yeah.
That was an act. But then the other one in the face, you're right. It could be even worse. I mean, it was red all over the place with him.
Yeah.
It shows the frustration that he's having. At least you see some heart and passion. But by saying that's not good. What he did there, he hurt the team. Now I know you're frustrated, but he went back to his old way. And you know what? People want to praise him, and I want to praise him. But one criticism that I have of Kudus is he tries to do everything by himself. The biggest thing that we've talked, or at least I've talked about in the past, was when he drives up the pitch, he's not looking around to pass that ball. He wants to take it like a basketball player, take it to the net and lay it up in there. He wants to do it all himself. He had prior to that penalty, he had an opportunity. He went down there. He had Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side, and he didn't pass it to him, which would have been a great opportunity for a goal, and then he turned the ball over. So I like Kudus' passion. He's got to harness some of that because today was just frustration. And then that goes back to the second thing is the leadership on the pitch. What is the leadership? Is Bowen strong enough to be our captain and lead that stuff? Because it was a free-for-all out there. And then secondly is that this has what me, as a guy who's been around in leadership positions and stuff like that, is that this is on Lopetegui too, because he's the leader, and his team seems like they don't have that, at Bond. Remember I was telling you about that 10 to 19th minute mark where I was like, the skies opened up. Oh, we're one touch pass and we're doing real great. And then it went to crap. And he's got to turn that around, because how much I love Kudus and stuff like that. What he did today at the 86th minute too, 4-1, 86th minute, game is over, and then now it's a 3-game ban. And people say, "Oh, we should still Somerville." That's great, but you're taking Kudus, one of our best players, off the pitch for 3 matches, and that is just unacceptable. Some people that are these pro players and stuff like that need to think of the big picture and what you just cost your team.
It adds to, I mean, yeah, it sort of adds insult to injury, doesn't it? And especially how late on in the game it wasn't needed. And I think there's a couple of elements of it to discuss. It's firstly the obviously internal frustration that caused him to do that. Whether it was the ball wasn't given to him enough, if that's what he felt, whether he was just annoyed with the result, which fair enough, it annoyed with what was going on, because he was one of the very few, if we're going to give him credit, was that tried and looked a bit of a threat
100%.
and he could have had a brace inside 25 minutes, if we're being completely frank about it. He will be gone next summer, Kudus. I think we can all acknowledge that. He showed frustration today, and a couple of people, I don't know whether I buy into this or not, a couple of people on Twitter have put he wouldn't have done that last season if Moyes was here. That people I don't buy that personally. I can understand what people are saying in terms of Moyes has a firmer grip on the players, and that just simply wouldn't have happened under his tenure. But I think it speaks volumes more for me about his frustration, which concerns me.
Yeah, and I'm just personally, I'm tired of comparing our new manager or coach to Moyes and stuff like that. And people, be careful what you wish for and all that stuff. Listen, finally, we didn't get into Europe last year after our final Moyes. I'm grateful for what Moyes did, but we needed to change. Is Lopetegui our guy? I don't know. I said we'd give him a chance. I'm starting to analyze him now. But I definitely see that there's the lack of leadership on the pitch. And then if it's not on the pitch, what's happening in the locker room as well. And that starts with Lopetegui at the end of the day. At first, the philosophy of why is he pulling these people off like he did with Kudus in that one match, and it's because he maybe wasn't being a team player. Well, he needs to stick to those morals and stuff like that, because right now today it was a free-for-all. And then if you listen to his press conference, it was just like it was poor. So he needs to do something to get that, because it starts with the leaders on the pitch. And with all that fighting stuff going on there, you saw Bowen in the scuff a little bit there, but I just didn't see anybody really stepping up and controlling the team. If you look at the beginning of the match, and you saw Tottenham, they got in a big circle, and Son's controlling the team, and he's telling the team, and you see every player listening to what he's got to say. And then when he left off the pitch, they're all on there. we're just not seeing it with us at West Ham. But, and I still say this, it's still early. We got a lot of late signings, didn't really have any preseason together, not making excuses. It's called reality. And then hopefully you'll improve upon it. But today was a step backwards after the Ipswich game.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah. And other teams have got an identity. They've got things to buy into, right? And if you notice about that whole scuffle that happened towards the end, a couple of Spurs players involved, but all the other Spurs players came and backed each other up. That didn't happen with us, right? Not many other people got involved. We're a team of individuals, right? Let's make no mistake about it. There's no cohesion about it. And Antonio said in a pre-match interview with Darren Fletcher on TNT over in England, and he said that we've told the foreign players about this derby and the rivalry and what it means and what needs to happen. And well, if they told them, then they quite clearly didn't take it in, because we rolled over once again, like we did at Chelsea, or like we did against Chelsea a few weeks ago. Chelsea and Spurs, and we've lost by 3 goals in both games. Right, that's a sackable offence on its own, Larry.
It sure is. And, I hate to say this, but you start going there, a goal differential now is going to probably matter to us. That really screwed us up there. It's just like, I felt so confident. And of course, people say Ipswich and all that, but just how they played together and stuff. And the funny part is, besides our midfield and I'll go back to those 10 minutes that I really observed the great passing stuff. We have in them. We have the quality, but you hit on them right there. They're not playing as a real team. You know what I mean? They're not, that chemistry I'm looking for. We have a lot of good talent out there, but it's the manager's responsibility to get those guys to play together. And then the people that have been on there, the captain, Bowen, who's been there, and I'm not trying to hate on him, but it's his responsibility to get these players together, and I'm just not seeing that. And, that type of, I'm going to do everything for you, man. This is my badge. I'm going for you. If something happens to you, yeah, you saw a little them go in there, but not like what you said. Just like Tottenham play, they're all up in there and stuff. We had a couple. Let's just break it up. I'm just not seeing that chemistry and that brotherhood that you should see.
Absolutely, usual suspect. Can't dress this up in any way, shape, or form. I'm gutted like everyone else. Absolutely,
yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure.
Kudus, great first half. Very disappointing second. Absolutely. Sharky, well, can't see any positives from that game. Lopetegui has to take responsibility for that. Really need to beat Man United next week. But I tweeted after that the game against Forest in a fortnight's time is looking increasingly important, but you can even put that onus onto Man United, which is now probably going to be El Sacico, really. I mean, whoever loses is probably going to get sacked. Is it going to be Lopetegui or is it going to be Ten Hag? Which is rather amusing, but not at the same time. So yeah, that game next week, I don't think anyone's going to take any confidence or hope into it. For me, it's the Forest game the week after. We're going away to Forest in. Regardless of what happens against Man United, if we didn't pick anything up there, then boy, Forest and Everton, those 2 games in the first week of November, they are massive, Larry.
100%. We're sitting on 8 points now. Right now, what's our goal differential? Like -4 or something like that now.
-4, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, and what I predicted, I like to do it 2 games out, and I did this like with the Ipswich game, and I think it was a Brighton game. Want a certain number. I wanted 3 points out of these 2 matches. Anything more would been golden. So I really think we need to get something from Man U, especially right now, the way that they've been playing and all that. It was a time to get. I said that about Tottenham, but then I did some research and realized besides that Brighton collapse, they had a quality squad. But we need to try to get something from Man U, or at least, again, sometimes if we lose and I see that they've given everything on the pitch and it's quality, I come away still feeling a little bit better. Today, I got a terrible feeling in my gut because of, this type of performance. Because at the end of the day, some of the guys didn't show up or gave up.
Yeah, absolutely. Adrian, hope you well. We were lucky Tottenham didn't keep pushing like they normally would. It could have got 100%. Even worse.
Yeah,
could have gone from bad to worse.
100%, because they laid back after a while, 4-1. You saw then they were always up pressing us hard, but you saw in the last 20 minutes or something, they were just like, let's come in and just killing the clock. Really, they had opportunities. It could have been so much worse. It could have been worse than 4-1.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been. Coming on to this, I didn't know whether I was going to be really angry and lose my rag, but do you know what? I haven't got the energy to do that, to be totally honest. I'm just a bit, I've got apathy about it, to be totally honest. I'm just tired, bored. I mean, I didn't think it could get as worse or even worse than last year, and we're getting to that, unfortunately. And the inevitable Twitter meltdown today, and for once I'm going to say it's justified, I'm afraid. I mean, some of the things I was reading, maybe it goes a bit too far. And look, people are calling for his head, and I don't know, honestly, Larry, I don't know.
I don't know either, because I including the European match, I started really saying I'm going to question anything he's doing about 2 matches ago, and he's done all right. But this one here, this late into it, it's I don't know. And the biggest thing here is I'm lost for words on what we fix. How can we fix our midfield right now? How what can we do to make it better if the players don't show up all and do that? So because again, I'm going to blame the coach, the manager, but know what? We will be fools if we didn't put some of the onus on these players out there as well, because they're out on the pitch just as much. Paqueta shouldn't even be on there. I don't know. I guess because all that stuff's going on, stuff like that. But 2 of the goals were he was part of the misplays that the Spurs countered on and scored against us. And I didn't see anything magical from him like we saw before. And I don't know what the answer is. People out here say, hey, put Paqueta and Soler together. Is that the answer? Right now, I don't even know. I wish I did. Sometimes I have some kind of crazy ideas or something. Right now, maybe after a day or 2 of trying to think more, but right now I'm just lost for it. It was very disappointing to see that showing today.
It was. Right. I think we've pretty much done it. To be honest, it was a bad day. The midfield is where the problem begins, and unfortunately, it doesn't end there either. If we're honest, and you've got to put. I mean, Martin Allen tweeted earlier in terms of I think it's recruitment more than anything else. When you look at the recruitment now we were all buzzing with the transfer window, but you look at that midfield after all the money we've spent, and that's what we've got. Seriously. Really?
Yeah. Now, Jake, and even the people in the chat and stuff like that, do you think we can turn around like Chelsea did? Now, granted, Chelsea, I think about last year, right? And they started slow. Now, some of the quality players they brought in, it's a little higher than what we had, but still, can we turn this around? That's the biggest question, and is Lopetegui the guy? And I put into one of the chats that we had, that I hope he hasn't lost the locker room yet. And one comment came back and says, well, I don't think he'd ever had it. Got it. But if you just met the people the first 5 games and you just had a signing a week or 2 before the start of the season, you're not going to have the team yet. But by this far along now that he doesn't have them all on board and they're having performances like that and they're not fighting for each other and fighting for the badge when the fights are there, like you said, I didn't like what Kudus did at all. It hurts the team. But that was the most heart that I saw out on the pitch all day today. Do that. Was it the right way to handle it? No, I wish it would have been a hat trick instead of a red card. But, you want to see some spirit, right? And right now, I don't see it with the team.
Yeah, no spirit, no fight, no determination, no togetherness, no team spirit, none of it. This is the derby, right?
100%.
This is what West Ham fans look towards when the fixtures come out. It's Spurs away, right? It's probably, if not the most important game in the calendar for the away fan base, and that 100%. Today was Moyes-esque, right? That was it. Maybe even worse, right? Moyes never got battered against Spurs. He got battered against Arsenal. Take it, yeah, but Spurs is a step worse, right? We never got battered against Spurs under Moyes in that way. And the way we folded, the way we capitulated in that second half was nothing short of a disgrace. And you asked that question just a minute ago about whether he thinks he can turn it around. And my initial thing, the first thing that came into my head was, I don't know. And I think that just about sums it up, right?
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know. And if we get somebody else in, is it going to change? I've got the same answer. I don't know. That midfield, it needs surgery, right? There is no quick fix there with that midfield because there are gaping holes. It's just a shambles, right? We are being walked through. We've been on TNT Sports here over a 12 kickoff twice in the last few weeks, home to Chelsea and away to Tottenham, and we had the same commentator both times, and he acknowledged today how he was at that game and how he was at the game today. He can't understand how open we are, right? And we're open, and our defense is vulnerable. Right, our defense, which is a pretty good defense, right, which has cost a lot of money and has got a lot of quality in it. Our defense is vulnerable and paying the price because our midfield is faulting. Right, our midfield is faltering. It's not doing its job, right? And I can't find and think of any more words to describe basically how crap it is, right?
Yep.
Because it is, from Paqueta to Souček to any of them, right? Soler's the only one who I've seen in midfield this season that has gave it a go, doesn't start him. Like, he tries to get the three that I'd have started, Alvarez, Soler and Somerville, on at 2-1, but by the time they got on, it was 3-1, so there was no point. It was game done at that point. Not good enough. Something severe has got to change, and Larry, he hasn't got a magic wand, so I don't see it changing. Final thoughts, mate?
Nah, you said it perfectly right there. You hit it right on the head, and I wish I had the answers. And like I said, after a game like this, when we usually get battered like this, it does take me a day or so to try to think what it can be. But right now, I don't know what the answer is. That midfield is, I don't have the ideas of people that are on our bench that can do anything. I do it now, and then this is a stretch. But right now, do we have anybody in the academy that can come out and maybe help that? I don't know the answer to that. But something's got to happen, because if we wait until January in the transfer window there and they get somebody new to it, it's going to be too late. So we just need to figure it out.
A huge few weeks where it seems like every week has been huge for this start of the season, and Julian Lopetegui, it's not got any better than last season, some would argue, and you can't disagree that it's actually got worse. So things have to change, otherwise the door is going to be opened and Julian Lopetegui is going to be asked to walk through it. Usual suspect. Absolutely right, Jake. It's not the result, it's the abuse I received this afternoon, and I'm expecting tomorrow in the pub. Yeah,
exactly. Usual, exactly.
The centre of midfield looks ordinary. I mean, I think that's being kind, Sharky, to be totally honest. I don't think it's ordinary. It's awful, right? No disrespect to the Spurs, they are not a good team, which says everything about us losing 4-1. Good night, I'm afraid. No. I think Spurs are quality. Spurs are a decent outfit when implemented correctly. Now, they have their faults, as everybody does, but the way they went through us in that second half wasn't to do with their quality, it was to do with our naivety more than anything else. And that's the concern as we go into Man United, who won today, who are not very good, but will probably beat us the way we're going. And then the big games against Forest and Everton, which will probably define the future of A, Julian Lopetegui, and B, the season, the future, and what is there to be held. But Karen Brady was in attendance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. She can't be pleased. She's got a track record of backing managers and giving them time. But we'll see how much time she gives the Spaniard. Larry, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you, Jake. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow feeling in a better mood, but right now, not so good.
Well, I'm not looking forward to it, because I've got to wake up at 5:15 tomorrow to start working at Greg's at 6 o'clock. So what a weekend, eh?
Everybody get over to Greg's, half price on Jake.
Yeah, brilliant. Honestly, what an awful weekend. Thanks for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. From me and Larry, come on, you irons.
Come on,
I'm going to bed. We'll see you soon. Goodbye. Cheers, Larry. Thank you.